Most people are walking through life with a fundamental misunderstanding of the game they are playing, and it is quietly sabotaging everything they touch. We've been conditioned to believe that the ultimate prize is the paycheck, the title, or the status, but that is the great illusion of our era. If you are chasing money before you have mastered your own mind, you are building a house on a foundation of sand. The truth is, we live in a world where your only real, unshakable currency is the depth of your knowledge and the sharpness of your skills. Welcome to Better State. If you don't find the act of uncovering the unknown to be the most exhilarating thing in the world, the entire structure of your life will eventually collapse under its own weight. It's a chilling thought, but most of us have been taught to hate the very thing that could set us free. Before we dive deep into how to reclaim your edge, please subscribe to the channel to support our mission of building a more disciplined, insightful community. We need to stop looking at learning as a chore and start seeing it as a hunt for power. In a century defined by rapid obsolescence, your ability to evolve is not just a benefit, it is your only means of survival. The anxiety you feel about the future isn't because you lack opportunities, it's because you haven't yet turned yourself into the kind of person who can command them. Once you realize that your internal growth is the only true currency, you start to see that the biggest obstacles to your success aren't technical, they're human. I used to fall into the lone genius trap, thinking that if I just worked harder and became the smartest person in the room, the world would have no choice but to recognize me. But that's a dangerous lie. You could be a god-tier coder, a world-class athlete, or a visionary artist, but if you are socially tone-deaf, your brilliance is effectively neutralized. You've probably seen it, the person with the highest IQ in the office who is constantly sidelined because they don't know how to read a room or handle a difficult conversation. They aren't missing talent, they're missing the fundamental skill of being human. Robert Greene makes a point that hit me like a ton of bricks. Social intelligence is a skill, not a personality trait. You aren't born good with people or socially awkward as a fixed identity. It is a muscle that has atrophied because we've traded real, high-stakes human interaction for the safety of a screen. We are trapped in this virtual trap, hiding behind emails and Slack messages because they don't require us to deal with the messy, unpredictable energy of a real person standing in front of us. But true mastery requires you to enter another person's spirit, to see what they are missing, and to understand their needs without them saying a word. This isn't about being nice, it's about strategic empathy. It's about knowing how to criticize without destroying someone and how to cooperate without losing yourself. You have to force yourself out of the office and into the world. You have to embrace the friction of being around people until you can read their energy as easily as you read a book. Without this, your knowledge is just a Ferrari without a steering wheel. Developing that steering wheel of social intelligence is what keeps you on the road. But the fuel that actually drives the engine is a raw, unadulterated passion for the process itself. You can't fake this, and you certainly can't force it through sheer willpower alone. I've realized that there is a specific kind of physics to excitement. It acts as a filter that determines how much information your brain is actually willing to retain. If you are forcing yourself to master a subject because you think it's practical while your soul is dying of boredom, you are fighting a losing battle against your own biology. Real learning only happens when you are so motivated by the subject that your natural curiosity takes over and does the heavy lifting for you. Think about the story of the pool table. It's such a grounded, human example of this principle. Imagine being in the middle of a high-stakes project, feeling your brain fry from the intensity, and turning to something as trivial as billiards just to stay sane. But instead of just mindlessly hitting balls, you dive into the mechanics. You feel that initial, stinging frustration of being terrible, the missed shots, the lack of control, the sheer awkwardness of the cue in your hand. But then you start practicing. You read the strategy books, you experiment with spin, and you finally nail that double bank shot you've been missing for a week. That click, that moment of seeing yourself improve, is a dopaminergic hit that no amount of money can buy. It's the thrill of realizing you are no longer the person you were yesterday. Whether it's a foreign language that unlocks a new culture or a game that sharpens your strategic mind, that excitement is the only thing that will carry you through the pain period of being a beginner. If you don't fall in love with that specific feeling of growth, the whole game of mastery will eventually feel like a prison sentence. The thrill of that breakthrough moment is addictive, but between those peaks of excitement lies a vast, quiet territory that most people are terrified to cross, the land of boredom and agonizing slowness. In our world of 5-second attention spans and instant gratification, the ability to wait has become a lost art, yet it is precisely where the most profound growth happens. We've become so hyper-stimulated by the godlike power of our smartphones that any delay feels like a personal insult. If we have to wait a few extra seconds for a download, we feel a surge of micro-anxiety, but we forget that 30 years ago, you had to spend an entire afternoon in a library just to find a single piece of evidence. That friction wasn't a waste of time. It was a forge for the character. To master anything truly great, you have to embrace the tedium. You have to learn to love the slowness and actually find a strange kind of peace in the pain of the plateau. I've felt that suffocating anxiety when starting a new project, that desperate urge to hurry toward the finish line just so I can feel successful. But hurry is the enemy of mastery. True power comes from the ability to manage your anxiety and stay in the room when it gets boring. When you're staring at a problem that won't budge, or practicing a move that feels clumsy and repetitive, you are building the mental resilience that 99% of the population simply doesn't have. This is your competitive advantage. While everyone else is chasing the next hit of instant dopamine, you are the one who can sit with the frustration, the one who can handle being bad at something until the neurons finally knit together. Boredom isn't a sign to stop. It's a sign that you are finally taming the micro aspects of your craft. It is the price of admission to the elite level of any skill. Learning to sit with that silence and push through the boredom eventually brings you to the ultimate payoff. The moment where you stop being a student of isolated parts and start becoming a master of the whole. This is the blueprint for the mastery combo, and it is where your life truly begins to transform into something unique. Most people spend their lives scratching the surface of a dozen different things, but the real brilliance happens when you dive deep into 2 or 3 disparate skills and weave them together into a singular, uncopyable force. Look at Robert Greene. It wasn't just the research and it wasn't just the writing. It was the alchemy of both that created a masterpiece like the 48 Laws of Power. By the time you reach your late 20s or early 30s, you should be looking to stack these mastered layers. We are surrounded by more information than any generation in history, but information alone is noise. The magic happens when your patience and your love of learning finally collide with your technical ability, allowing you to create a new kind of enterprise or a new way of thinking that the world has never seen. I absolutely guarantee that if you stay in the game, something brilliant will happen. But it only happens if you refuse to take the shortcut. Stop trying to hack your way to the top and start building the foundation that can actually hold the weight of greatness. The brilliant future you're chasing is waiting for you, but only if you have the courage to master yourself first. So as we pull back the curtain and look at the raw architecture of success in this century, what are we left with? We're left with a choice. You can either continue to be a passenger in your own life, chasing the next trend, falling for the illusion of overnight success, and letting your phone dictate your attention, or you can choose to become an architect of mastery. This journey we've discussed isn't just about professional achievement. It's about a fundamental shift in how you exist in the world. It's about realizing that the friction, the boredom, and the social awkwardness aren't walls meant to keep you out. They are the very materials you use to build a better state of being. When you stop viewing learning as a chore and start viewing it as a hunt for power, the world opens up. You begin to see that every interaction is a laboratory for social intelligence. Every moment of frustration is a forge for patience, and every mastered skill is a brick in your fortress. We become a society that is miles wide and inches deep, but the people who will truly own the future are those who have the courage to go deep. They are the ones who can handle the pain of being a beginner and the quiet of the long grind. The most profound lesson you can take away from this is, mastery is the only form of security that cannot be taken from you. In an economy that can change overnight, in a world that feels increasingly volatile, your internal assets, your ability to learn, to connect, and to endure are your only real protection. To apply this to your life right now, I want you to audit your excitement-driven path. Stop forcing yourself to learn things you think you should know, and find the intersection between what the world needs and what makes your spirit come alive. Start small. Choose one skill you've been avoiding because it's too slow or too social, and commit to the boredom of the first 20 hours. Turn off the notifications, put the phone in another room, and learn to sit with the frustration. Embrace the double bank shot moments in your own life, no matter how trivial they seem. If this conversation resonated with you and you're ready to stop settling for the surface level of life, I want to invite you to join our Better State community. We are building a space for people who are serious about deep personal development, mindset shifts, and finding the raw motivation to stay in the game when everyone else quits. Join us to receive more insights that will help you sharpen your edge and navigate the complexities of this century. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel. Your support is the engine that allows us to keep creating this kind of deep dive content. Let's keep building, one mastered skill at a time.